Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. So, before I get started with this Reddit post, I want to give a little bit of an announcement. So, I've made some decisions lately as I've been having some real life experiences that are very mid sized coded. I think it's time to switch. It's time for a new era. So I'm going to have one more brat related video on the 10th because it's February 10th. It's Spring Breaker Day. So I'm going to go ahead and have my last statement about bratness and like the last topic that I want to cover within this era that day. And then I'm going to launch the new era probably on the 12th or so. So I'll probably just do like a normal video in between. So I think it's time to switch, and I'm feeling kind of sad and kind of nostalgic a little bit about the brat era. Like, it's funny because in January I was like, I want to be done. And then it's like, now that I kind of went back a little bit, I'm like, oh, it's kind of sad that it's going to end for good because it's ending. So I think the aspect that I thought about all the time, because I've been wanting to use that line forever in a thumbnail, the part that I thought about all the time was just the fact that this was going to end. The fact that fatness was going to end, obesity was going to end. And I think for me, there is some sadness in it, not completely like sad. Obviously, there's a lot of relief in it too, but there's also just like, I think I'm one of those people that's kind of similar to a lot of people where it's like when something ends or when there's an end of an era or like a change, it can feel kind of sad at first. You know, even like if you're the type where it's like you watch a movie or you play a video game and you're sad that it's over, you know, you read a book, it's sad, you're sad that it's over. I feel that way about this era. I feel like kind of sad that the chapter's ending. I think just because like I wasn't so horrifically tortured by like physical health issues during this time. Really, it was about motivation. That was the hardest part to hold on to throughout the brat era. And I definitely want to talk about an important aspect for the final video, so that'll be coming out on Monday. But this is our last week of brat. That's all I was trying to say to start with. So, and this time is done for real. There's no like, Charlie XCX didn't put out a third version of the album. Okay, so it will be done, but that's okay. And we're gonna kind of reminisce about it. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna like, I'm going to go through the era a little bit and talk about being a small fat and my experience of it and being that in weight loss and all that stuff. And one of the most important aspects of brat, which I will get to on Monday. So that being said, let's go ahead and get into this since I'm feeling kind of nostalgic a little bit and a little bit weird about I'm no longer going to be identifying as fat after the 12th. So I'm just like kind of just setting a day, basically. I think it's important for me to have that intention and be able to get ready for it and then just be done that day, and then I'm done, you know, because I don't want to be one of those people, no shade to anybody, but I want to do my best on a psychological level to not feel like I'm fat when I'm not, if that makes any sense. So I think part of that is no longer identifying as it, which, again, we're going into mid-size sedan, which mid-size is that it's a bridge to the other side, so to speak. So it's kind of a big deal to me. It's kind of exciting. It's kind of like weird to be doing it publicly. You know, it's weird. I don't have any guidebook for anybody else doing this. No shade to anybody, but I just haven't seen it. Which, by the way, I'm not. Oh, you can't even see. Never mind. I was gonna. This cup used to say Aries on it. I'm not an Aries. I'm a Leo, but it doesn't even say it anymore. It washed off. But anyways, so yeah, that's just kind of what I wanted to say to start with. Is just like that announcement and why I'm using a different label and why I'm doing it on a personal level. It helps me. It's kind of like how in 2023 I had to like fast and cut my hair and do a lot of stuff to see like $2.99 in late October so that I could see the number and then leave it in my app because I knew I was going to go back up over the winter, and I just needed to see it so that I could process that was changing, because that was really hard for me at the time. I was having an identity crisis at the time. At that time, I don't want to have another one. I don't think I'm going to, but I think this is a way for me to handle it on a psychological level, is to just pick a day and say we're changing. So that's the day. That's it. That's a wrap. It's over. So anyways, thank you guys so much for supporting me during this time and kind of understanding. And let me know if you guys had to do anything like that when you had to not identify as fat anymore. You know, I think it's kind of a personal thing. It's kind of like something that everybody goes through. And it's time. You know, I think it's time for me. So anyways, let's go ahead and read this. Negative emotions after weight loss. Things are still not better. So I made sure that it would be more recent. This is from 4 months ago. Has anyone dealt with negative emotions after significant weight loss? I'm wondering if anyone has any advice on how to cope. I think I will. I talk about it a lot on the channel. Which that's part of it too. I think in my mid-size era, I think one of the things that I'm going to focus on a lot is I feel like it's time to be more positive, and I want to cultivate optimism and positivity in my life. I think because one of the first things I've noticed approaching mid-size is there is a pressure to be more positive. There's a very much a personality aspect vibe to both small fat and mid-size, in my opinion. But I think within small fat, it's really about being nice, which has been rough, which is why I came up with the brat lane, because not everybody is a super nicey nice person or super demure and mindful. And I needed to create a new lane for those of us who are losing weight in this phase, because it's kind of like, it's controversial. When you come from a big size and you go down to small fat, you have like this, I've called it the albatross effect, because you become kind of like mystifying and people question you, because fat acceptance has made it such a taboo to lose weight, and so many people have like lost weight and gained it back like 500 bajillion times that even people not in fat acceptance, they side eye you and they're like skeptical of if you're going to gain the weight back during a small fat phase if you've come from a bigger size. And so there is this aspect in small fat where it's like there's a controversiality. And so a lot of people who are more demure and mindful, they compensate by being extremely nice or extremely, demure and mindful. I don't know what else to say. That they become even more of that. And I think for me, because I'm not that way, I just had to reject it pretty much outright and do it the brat way. And it worked. I got through. But there is a rebelliousness, I feel, in that, because people are either in disbelief. People accuse you a lot of times of having a restrictive ED. And I don't even think it's in a nasty way. I think it's a way of concern, just because fat acceptance has done such a good job at saying it's impossible to lose weight from a really big size. So I think going into mid-size, I feel a pressure to be more bubbly or positive, which I think for me is a good thing because it will actually help me balance my personality since I've been so dark and heavy for so much of this process. I'm kind of looking forward to being a bit more upbeat and positive. I think for people who are super people pleaser, it could be a little harsh in the mids for them because they might have an even harder time expressing negative emotion. So I think that might be part of this too, depending on how big this person is. But if this person, they said they're about 180, I don't know how big or how tall they are. But if they're also approaching the mids, they might be feeling a pressure to be positive, you see? So I actually do feel better. I felt better even in the bra era because my health was better and I wasn't as depressed as I was in prior phases. But I feel even better now, honestly. And so I want to just kind of embrace that side, kind of like express a different part of me, a more positive part. Even if I do still feel sad sometimes, I think I want to emphasize the positive going forward because I've done a lot of emphasizing the negative. I've done enough. I've done good work on that. But I do want to celebrate being mid-size because, you kind of just got to like make it a little exciting for yourself, That's kind of what I feel anyway. That's what I think. But anyways, I know I'm talking a lot today, but I just want to talk to you guys today. Sometimes I have my moments where I want to talk to you. I want to talk to y'all. So anyways, has anyone dealt with, negative emotions after weight loss? Things are still not better. Has anyone ever dealt with negative emotions after significant weight loss? I'm wondering if anyone has any advice on how to cope. I often read the subreddit and other weight loss ones, but feel completely alienated because my experience is nothing like others in similar positions. I lost 50 plus pounds since July 2023, though I should have lost way more than that. See, you need to chill. Chill out. Chill. 50 pounds is decent. That is a big chunk. I think that's perfectly fine, especially for a year. But if you are a woman, maybe it would be a little less, So just be chill. Be chill. You didn't gain it all back. And then some. Then I could see, okay, I kind of failed. Then I could be like, okay, yeah. If you gained all the weight back and then some, then yes, that's a huge issue. That is also E followed by the letter D coded. But if you've lost 50 pounds and you've kept it off for a year and a half, I think, right? Yeah, a year and a half. That's a really good step. So again, it's about being a bit more positive about progress that you've made because a lot of people don't keep that weight off. And I don't, like I said, I think there are pathological reasons even mentally for that, but you don't have that or you overcame that. Okay. Though I should have lost way more than that, I still struggle with eating and maybe at a plateau. Yeah, you might just be hungrier. That can happen too. From about 235 to 180. Some people have noticed, but no one comes up to me much and talks about it. I suppose my loved ones are very respectful about the sensitivity of weight loss as a fat person. I'm not treated any better. See, I think this is important too. Like, this is why I spent so much time within the process talking about negativity, which, like I said, I think some people were like, oh my gosh, but it's because I'm trying to paint a whole picture. And I will still paint a picture of mid-size too. I will talk about negatives, but from what I can tell so far, it's genuinely better, which I'm just saying, I'm gonna just be real. It's better. It seems better so far. I will see, obviously. But hey, doesn't always have to be doom and gloom. Does it? It don't. It don't have to be all the time. But this doesn't always happen right away. And remember, if you are at least in a small fat category, there's going to be personality expectations, or there's going to be, a little bit of a personality contest, which I think that also does go into mid-size sedan territory. But I think it's easier if you start doing that work in a small fat phase, basically, is my advice. So I would start working on your personality now, in my opinion, and I think it will help. I was thankfully well liked then and now, so it's all good. Okay, so you're already liked. I still don't have a boyfriend. Okay. My body feels nominally better. I still yearn for unhealthy comfort foods. They make me happy. Every day is an anxious battle with food because I want to shove delicious 3,000 calories a day. I want to shove delicious 3,000 calories a day down my mouth. I basically calorie count fairly religiously, but have, hold on. Hold on. Let me check this 1 second. Okay, I don't know why the post was like covered up, but I'm going to have to read it. I'm sorry if you guys are reading along. I have to make it really small so it'll show. Anyways, I basically calorie count fairly religiously, but have 2 or 3 cheat days. I think that's why I haven't lost as much as I should have. I also exercise often and am cognizant of my movement and burnt calories. Okay. I feel like all the posts I read are like, I look and feel so much better. Everyone is kinder and nicer to me. I don't even yearn for my old unhealthy habits. I'm truly happy for everyone. However, I am on the completely opposite side and I still feel terrible. Almost like this wasn't worth the comfort I felt from soothing myself with unhealthy foods when I was bigger. Yet I'm terrified of gaining weight. I just don't know what to do to adopt a healthy mindset about weight loss and my health. Okay. All right, I'm going to reformat it 1 second. Okay. So I think that it matters in a couple different ways. So I think you need to keep in mind if you have any like comorbidities that went along with an E followed by the letter D, that's important. Even if it is just like, for example, just the basic hypothyroidism, that can make you depressed. If that's the case, then you got to continue to lose weight. You might have to be kind of sad because it's physical. And you're going to be affected by the weight loss. It's going to make you feel kind of sad anyways as you're losing the weight. But in terms of like other issues, like if you have other serious problems psychologically, they have to be treated independently because they're not necessarily going to be fixed by losing weight. So I think it's important to look at certain things, but like I said, how you can tell if it's more physical is like if it goes away, if you get out of a deficit, if you feel better, then that might be more of a hypothyroid issue where it's just the deficit itself is kind of making you depressed, which you kind of have to continue down the path so that you can get your heightened estrogen down from being obese. Also low dopamine from obesity, right? That can also create an issue. So it's important to understand that there are certain things within obesity itself that can make you depressed. It does affect your hormones, it affects you, and weight loss does as well. So it's actually, in my opinion, fairly common to feel a little bit sad or a little bit depressive during weight loss. And even at bigger sizes, it can even be more depressed or more sad. For me, when I was super morbidly obese, losing weight, I would get extremely depressed during that phase. But if you're like 180, it's probably not that bad. It wasn't as bad when I was just morbidly obese. It was even better when I was just obese. I'm still obese now. Now, I still have moments where I get kind of sad or I can get kind of negative or bitter. But like I said, I think so much of it at this stage, it's more of a psychological game than a physical one. So it's more about like what I'm choosing to focus on, which I think within mid-size, I want to focus on the positive. I want to start orienting my brain towards looking at positivity first and then seeing negativity, just because, like I said, I have enough. I'm pretty negative, so I need to start shifting things a little bit, because, obesity is ending. It's going to end soon. It's probably going to be done by like March or April. And even before that, we do start to transition out of it. These things are not like a light switch. So I'm trying to support that process by providing a good psychological and mental background to the physical process of obesity ending. And, hopefully that will help my brain recover easier. So you kind of have to work with it. And that's what I'm going to do. That's my idea or my strategy of how I'm going to work with it, especially getting out of obesity. But I'm already starting it now. And I think that that's just where I'm at, which is why Brat is ending, right? Brat was kind of just like, I'll be negative if I feel like it, or I'll do what I want if I feel like it, kind of thing. It was that kind of attitude. But I think now it's going to require a little bit more mental discipline to be like, okay, I'm going to focus a little bit more on the positive and a little bit less on the negative, because it's no longer like helpful. Because I think what happened recently is I started getting to a point where when I was in that brat mode, it's like you can get too bratty and then you don't want to do it anymore. You don't want to lose the weight anymore because you're just like, I want to do whatever I want. And it's like, okay, brat, like it's kind of killing the purpose, right? So I think it's important to have a balance with it, obviously. And I think it's important to just be like a little bit, to understand when you, at least for me, when I have to have more discipline in certain areas or when I have to shift things around, because you have a limited amount of willpower. So it's important to utilize it correctly to continue to lose weight. And so at certain stages where it's harder, like it was harder to stay motivated, I would kind of let my mind just go wherever and just not give a fuck, basically, which is more bratty. I can't really do that anymore. So it's ending because it was getting to the point where it's like my negative emotions of fear, my negative emotions of a fear or like or sadness or like a almost like a shock at the fact that like I'm losing the fat identity. That's going to hold me back. So it's like, don't think of the negative, think of the positive. You see, I have to kind of shift. So I think you utilize things until they don't work anymore. If it's helping you to be negative to lose weight, then be negative. If it starts to help you to be positive to lose weight, then be positive. You have to shift gears. Always remember, you can shift even psychological gears to keep the process going, and different ways of thinking. Like for me, being tortured Mo, that worked for me because I could think about all the other problems and not think as much about weight loss or my body, because I could face all these other problems and all these things that I had let fall behind because of my severe health issues. And so that worked. I still was able to continue to lose and continue to stay strong in that phase, being incredibly negative. So I really think it depends on where you're at. And it is weird to be telling you guys, like, I'm going to be trying to be more positive now. It's like, whoa, that's a trip. I think on Brat City, it was kind of just an in-between. It was like, I'll be super negative sometimes and I'll be super positive sometimes. I'll just be whatever I feel. So that helped. So again, I try to offer like a perspective, just a different perspective for people who are very, very emotional that are losing weight, because you do have to work with your emotions. You really do. And it can be exhausting and difficult to like navigate. And so I would suggest letting it shift. And for me, that worked. And I say it worked because I'm getting into the mids. It worked. I continued, and same with when I was getting to just obese, it worked to be really negative. So it just depends. It depends on where you're at, who you are, what is going to work for you. But these are just certain examples and things to think about. So that is my answer. Now I want to read some of the comments here. When I had my big weight loss, 286 pounds, I was happy I lost the weight, but I was upset that things didn't seem to improve a ton for me. I thought when I lost the weight that I would be happier all the time, that I would get a girlfriend, and that life would be a lot easier. The truth is a little different. It took a while for me to feel comfortable in who I was after that weight loss. It was like becoming someone I didn't know for a while, and I had to adjust my sense of self. And dating also took time. I went on a few dates, but I missed out on years of dating, so it took a while to have success. I'm now happily married, so it worked out. That's nice. The other thing is I did gain weight back, not close to that amount, and I'm having to do big weight loss again. Oh, the truth is that it's a struggle to do this for everyone. It's just most people post the positive. And while losing weight is great, it alone doesn't deal with all our mental struggles we have about our lives or even food. I might suggest talking to a therapist just as a way to help figure out your goals and how to deal with the negative emotions. Yeah, so to add to that, I realized that I did this during my morbid phase. So again, I'm talking from a perspective of if you're super morbidly obese, like this person lost 286 pounds. That's a lot. So if you're very big, I definitely think that that sort of negativity and almost distraction aspect of looking at negatives in your life that don't have to do with weight loss or your body can be really helpful in a morbid state, just because you can work through triggers, you can work through things, and you can kind of like come to terms with all that stuff. And then it's like things, as you continue to lose, there's a lift. I felt such a lift getting to obesity. And I'm feeling such a lift getting to midsize because I dealt with all this negativity at that time when my health was good enough that I could focus on negative things in life. Then it helped. I used that negativity to distract from the sort of monotony and absolute, like, I don't know if it's boredom, but I guess kind of boredom of diet and exercise, because it had become incredibly boring, which that was through the work I had done in terms of my E followed by the letter D. That's the goal. You want it to become boring, but you have to fill in your time with other stuff. And it helped for me to just kind of face all of these other negative aspects of my life so that I could work through the triggers while I was at that morbid phase, because my health was good enough that my health wasn't the only thing I could think about. And then I could more easily enjoy the other phases or get a lift as time passes rather than such a letdown. So some of weight loss is a mental game as well. So that's what I would suggest doing, because you're just kind of in different mental states throughout the weight loss. So you kind of just have to roll with it. And I think that's why it's so hard for people, because it is so like transient, like things shift. It's so mutable. It's such a mutable experience. So things are constantly changing. And they don't change like day by day, but they change like, season by season, 6 months to the next 6 months. Like they change really dramatically in a weight loss journey. So I really encourage a holistic recovery, especially from super morbid obesity, because you don't want to put yourself at risk to regain. You don't want to feel really sad, especially if you're getting closer to goal. You don't want to feel like really sad about it, So I think it really depends on the journey. The idea that losing weight will solve all problems and improve every aspect of our lives is a really pervasive and toxic bit of diet culture. The idea that losing weight will mean people treat us better and will suddenly find it easy to get into a relationship is particularly harmful. Yeah. So remember, part of the aspects of why I feel that I'm getting treated better now is because I've done a lot of personality work, particularly in this brat phase. And I've did a lot of psychological deep dives in the tortured Mo phase. Oh gosh. Whew, it was a lot. But like I said, dealing with that stuff, it helped. Gosh, I'm really burpy right now. It helped with that monotony of losing weight at that time. So again, you got to use what you can. And you can kind of make it, always think of it as something strategic. So like I said, now that negativity is starting to hold me back at this phase, I'm going to focus on positivity and try to build that up as I'm feeling a social pressure to be more positive and bubbly. And positivity is more so helping me to continue. Because for me, being mid, you guys heard me, I was kind of like, oh gosh, about it. But now I'm more at peace with it and I feel like more excited. It's like I can kind of make myself more excited about it than just like being sad about it, because I'm in a different state physically. It's hard to explain, but it's like you're just in a different phase. So you can kind of choose more. Like I remember back in 2023, one of my friends, she told me, she was like, well, if you're feeling so like low confident or so sad or so this or so that, because I was extremely depressed and I was losing weight and super morbid. It was really hard. And going into that mid-fat phase where I was invisible, it was really hard psychologically as well. And she was like, well, she's like, I think sometimes like the way your brain can decide if you're going to be happy about something, or your brain can decide if you're going to be sad. But at that stage, my sadness was too physical, so it couldn't work. But today is totally true, because the physical sadness is so weak. It's like, it's really hard to explain, but I feel like some people will probably understand what I mean. It's just not as powerful. The physical parts of your obesity or your fatness or whatever, they get weaker as you lose weight. And then it becomes more about you or your mindset or other problems you have. And so I think that's where people get caught up, because they're so used to this fatness taking up such a huge part of their life, especially if they're very big, because then there's daily health struggles, daily health battles with supermorbid obesity that you're always thinking about, or that are always taking up your time, and all these different things. And that's why for me, and I think for a lot of people, it would be beneficial to focus on negatives in your life and working on solving negatives in the morbid phase, because you're so used to dealing with those health negatives all the time, and it creates that vacuum of negativity. You have to kind of give yourself bridges to things, in my opinion. And so I feel like that's what helped me. And then you can, like I said, I'd suggest getting towards the small fat phase. You just feel however you feel. And then you kind of have to pump up the positivity a little bit. Like I said, I feel like I'm becoming a BOPO influencer or something. It's a weird thing. It's something I never expected. But it doesn't matter. If it's going to help me to continue, then I'm going to do it. And that's what you have to understand, is static and stagnant ways of being throughout, especially huge weight loss, will never help. They don't help you. You have to keep things moving and dynamic and shifting with the times. And, like I did, I got on that plane in morbid obesity. I made sure I lived and did things so I could face those things, because now I'm getting on a plane in March. I don't have any anxiety about it whatsoever. I do not give a fuck that I'm going on a plane. I know I'm going to fit. I'm not even worried about it. You see? So what does that mean? It means that the experience of having lost the weight is now positive. And that, so you kind of make it positive through prior work. Okay? I feel like I'm saying a lot, but it's really important. I'm telling you, it really helps to keep it sustainable. It really does. Okay. Let's see. The universe doesn't drop partners into our laps as rewards for losing weight. I think this is the important thing with this is that there's likely areas of, again, your personality, which is, I'm getting into the mids here. This is where I'm really going to focus on going into this era. There's certain areas of your personality that could be underdeveloped because of years of being super morbidly obese. So there has to be a time when we fix that. And I think so much of the obracity phase was just about keeping myself going. But now I have more of a motivation, or like I'm okay in that area. It's so much easier that it's okay. And so now it's like, okay, well, now I can work on certain areas of my personality that might be underdeveloped because so much of my identity was wrapped up in being fat for so many years. So it's like you take it and you work with it and you work and you work. So then I'll have worked on the personality. Then when I'm thin, it'll be even more dazzling. It'll be like a very huge elevation because I've already started doing some of the personality work. And so I'm already feeling a lift in the mids. You see? So it's kind of like you can make it way better or worse as you lose the weight. It just depends. It's kind of like losing weight with an unbalanced, nutrient deficient diet or losing weight with a balanced, nutrition filled diet. One is clearly superior. It's the same thing. Doing psychological development, mental development throughout weight loss is superior to losing weight without that. And I've tried to show a whole spectrum on here, and I think I'm doing a good job. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to have a little bit of a me-hee-hee moment and be like, I've done a good job at showing this spectrum. And there's more to come, but it's just interesting. You have to work with the brain. You have to work with where you're at. You know, I don't think positivity would have helped me when I was morbid because I was just so tired, or it's like I would just be like, okay, well then I can just sit here then. That's how I would have felt. I would have been like, I could just sit here then. But it's okay. Whereas it's like now, it's like if I'm like, I'm upset, then I want to just sit here. You see? But if I'm like, no, actually this is good, then I want to move forward. You see what I mean? So you just gotta shift. It's a game. It's a little bit of a game, but it's also real. Like, it's hard to explain. It's really hard to explain, but I hope you guys are getting what I'm saying. I really do. Okay, other people are people, and it's not okay to objectify them as trophies, but people are encouraged to do so as motivation for weight loss. Then we lose weight, and finding all our problems are still there. Unless if you work on your problems as you go, which is what I would suggest, because it protects your progress. People really shouldn't come up to you and start talking about your weight loss. And if you think about it, you wouldn't want them to. Well, I have it happen to me. I do. I've had it happen to me, and I don't care. It doesn't bother me. People are People are slowly learning to not comment on other people's bodies. Not all weight loss is intentional, and people shouldn't dive into conversations that could be really triggering for people with trauma, illness, or ED. I think it's important to work on your triggers, especially within E followed by the letter D, because it's an anxiety disorder. Exposure therapy can be good. It's difficult. I understand it's hard, but you've got to strike a balance. You know, if somebody's complimenting you and you've clearly been losing weight intentionally and somebody comments on it, don't freak out about that. Or like, it's not normal to freak out about that. If somebody's being mean to you, then yes, but usually they're not. So don't put negativity into it. You see? Which, by the way, the guy that explained to me my lifting issue, which I posted a post. You guys were like, the comments were so funny on that. The guy at the gym, he didn't say anything negative. He was just saying to do the full range of motion, which is, I agree with him. And he was also young. I don't know. Apparently, young people are just talking to me now. He was, again, probably like around 20. And I just said, okay. And he was like, good job, though. He's like, I've seen you here. He's like, you're here all the time, da-da-da-da-da. And he was like, I don't know what your goals are, blah, blah, blah. Like, but just, try to do the full range of motion, which I actually appreciated. And I think I'm going to take it as a little bit of a sign that it might be time to start focusing a little bit more on muscle building, because most of why I do it the way that I've done it is because my weightlifting has been for cardio benefit rather than like bulking. I'm not necessarily trying to bulk. I'm not trying to not build muscle, but I'm not trying to bulk up either. You see, there's kind of it's like I'm not intentionally trying to gain muscle as I'm losing weight. But now it's like I'm at a more manageable size for like my joints and stuff. Maybe I could shift and like focus more on the form. And, I do want to reform my gym this year in the spring, especially. So it's like, it's something to think about. But you see, I'm not like offended. It wasn't nasty or anything. It's not like that. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to take it a certain way. And yeah, so I think that that's kind of where I'm at, is I just feel like there's so much more of a sense, there's so much more mental control than there used to be. That's the best way I can describe it. Okay, anyways, let's continue. For years, I thought I'd feel more confident if I'd lost a bit of weight. As it worked out, losing weight coincided with an accident that significantly altered my appearance and has made me a lot less confident about how I look, and I absolutely don't want to date. Okay, well, that's totally irrelevant to the weight loss discussion. No shade on you, but I'm just saying it's irrelevant. That's a totally different thing. I still struggle to come to terms with my body. I kind of feel like I'm someone I don't know very well. Losing weight didn't change any of the things that were making me depressed. Now I just don't have the thing I used for comfort about them. Okay. I still have cravings for my favorite sweet treats. I even still eat them, just in moderation. It hasn't stopped me from losing weight, but it's improved my health and my relationship with food. Sure, I miss the days where I didn't have to ever think about what I eat, but that behavior was harming me. I suggest you talk to a therapist to learn how to start practicing better self-love and self-compassion and find ways to manage your anxiety. Find non-food things that make you happy. That's major. Even if it's cringy, doesn't matter, as long as it's not harmful. Stop thinking in terms like, I haven't lost as much weight as I should, and cheat days. Gaining a bit of weight isn't a moral failing or anything to fear. Fluctuations are normal and you can course correct if you need to. I agree with this. I talk a lot about the seasonal aspects for that reason. Food is supposed to be comforting. We just have to be responsible with our comfort mechanisms, right? No, I don't agree with that. That part is a crock to me. Your body feels better and that's a win. It's going to be okay. So food is for energy. So, watch me like respond to this person. Food is for energy and you're wrong. No. Food is for energy. It's for metabolic boosting too. So like certain times higher palatable foods can kind of boost you a little bit. Like if you're stressed or something from a physical level, like having more fat or more sugar, for example, it's more helpful to the metabolism, but it's not always helpful to lose weight. You see, so you have to kind of balance it out, basically, in my opinion, because it just depends on your goals and where you're at and these types of things. But it's not a comfort. Comfort is too emotional. I'd call it like a physical support. That's a way to think of it. But like, for example, I have had a little bit of hypothyroid symptoms. Like I have a little bit of blue nails, like I told you guys. But I'm not craving sugar like at all. And I haven't had it in a long time. I do have like honey and certain things, but like I haven't had candy since like December. But there might come a time when I need to have candy again and just count the calories and do that kind of stuff. But I haven't. I kind of just roll with the punches with this stuff. And it's like, I've been considering like the food dyes and stuff, and I just don't really want to do that anymore. And so I haven't been having food dyes. And so I haven't been having any candy because most of the candy has them. And I don't really miss it, if I'm honest. Like, I don't fear sugar, but I like having, like, I'm in a phase where I don't need that quick energy source. I just don't. I'm okay. So I like, if I have sugar, it's like I have phases where it's like I want my sugar like in a yogurt or something. It's like I want it in like something where, yeah, I can add to it a little bit and give a little bit of a boost at times, but not like it's the only thing, because I just don't need that. Like, I had yogurt today. I had Noosa yogurt in the morning that has some sugar in it. It gave me a little bit of energy. I went to the gym last night. I was fine. I wasn't hungry or whatever. Like, I'm fine. I've been really good with my appetite too. So I think my hypo is a lot better in reality because I'm not really hungry. But I'm just saying, like, it's a physical support. I didn't eat a sugary yogurt because I felt sad in the morning. I ate a sugary yogurt because I needed to work and I needed energy. So I think it's like you have to think about like what you're going to, what you're using it for. I didn't like that, the way that was stated. It's not a comfort. A comfort should not be food. That's toxic. It's a toxic ritualistic thing. So food can be pleasurable, but see how that's a different word? It can be fun sometimes, but at the end of the day, it's a physical support. It's not an emotional support. That's not okay. Okay. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to my long ass rant. I feel like I had like a podcast moment today, but thank you for being here. And I hope you enjoyed it. And I will talk to you guys later. Let me know what you think about this topic. Let me know what you think about especially the psychological aspects that I was talking about today. I'm interested in your thoughts. And with those of you who have, gone into the mids and become thin and this kind of stuff, what do you think about this? I'm very interested in your opinions as well. So thank you so much for watching. I will be back tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye.